No, wait, no, whoa, no, no, wait, I don't do this. I'm in homicide. I deal in scum suckers, not thumb suckers.
Who should we not trust?
Other than ourselves, maybe TV weather people, they always get it wrong.
True. How are you, ragweed?
That's just offensive.
Good. You okay?
I'm fine, I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Really enjoying these episodes.
Yep, keep going, this one's very different.
It's got a darker theme, I think, to it, hasn't it? It's quite a brave, I suppose, subject to tackle. It'd be hard to balance this correctly and get the humour right. It's,
Yeah, but I think they get the tone right. I don't think they're mocking the anguish of the parents. It's all fine.
Oh, well, Hammer mocks it.
Yes, but he's made to look bad for it.
True.
Some good lines as well.
Yeah?
Yeah. But it was more intense than some of the earlier episodes. Than any of the earlier episodes.
I mean, I think this is required, and we've discussed this before. We're seeing the show try new things. It's exploring things and it has been a little bit edgier, which is good.
Sure. I liked it.
Did you like it enough to do a summary?
No, not that much.
Yeah.
Oh, I jest. I will do a summary.
Crack on.
In If I Had a Little Hammer, Dory and Sledge are assigned to a kidnapping case when a nursery full of newborns go missing. After spending time with some of the distraught parents, Doro promises to get their son back. Hammer is a little out of his comfort zone without a killer to track down, but he and Dory are soon on the heels of the perpetrators. Their investigations lead to a showdown in a baby store, but in a dramatic finale, will Doro be able to keep her promise?
Thank you for that cute little summary there, Ian. We begin at a hospital, or outside the hospital. We see a supply van drive up with ominous music accompanying it. Now, did you see the name of the van?
Well, I saw it later in the episode. I didn't see it at this stage.
Is it Riddell? How are you pronouncing that?
Riddell Baby Store.
Riddell Baby Supplies. We next see a man enter the hospital and he shines a torch on rows of newborn babies as a nurse is admonished by her matron for eating on duty.
Yeah, it's something that you got in the 80s that I don't think you get anymore, this sort of nursery full of newborns.
I don't think you get so many. They tend to be on the ward with the parents.
Yeah, it's a different approach nowadays, certainly in this country.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it's like over in America.
No, I mean, you wouldn't... I don't think perceived wisdom these days is to separate mother with a newborn. I think they're meant to be sort of skin on skin as much as possible.
Yeah. Bonding from the word go.
Mm-hmm. So this nurse finishes, or is forced to finish, her pizza, and she goes over to make her rounds and screams in horror when she discovers that all the babies are gone.
It's unfortunate.
Lacks security, isn't it?
It really is.
Quite a feat getting one man getting all those babies out of there.
Yeah, without any noise or baby noise.
Although we come to learn it wasn't just one man.
That's true.
We're at the precinct.
Hammer and Dory arrive together and they notice that there's a lot of unhappy people.
The place is full of distraught mothers, parents detailing their missing children.
Hammer notes that he hasn't seen as many unhappy faces since his wedding reception.
And we go into Trunk's office. He is under pressure from the commissioner and explains to Dory and Sledge what's happened.
Hammer struggles not to make light of the situation.
Yeah, he compares the loss that the parents are feeling to the time he lost his luggage.
We've seen this before. I think it was All Shook Up when he couldn't resist making jokes about Elvis when the killings were going on.
Do you think this is just a nervous reaction?
It could be, or it could be that he actually thinks he's very funny.
Or he actually believes what he says and he thinks that luggage is just as important as a baby.
It's possible. I suppose folk who don't have babies don't have that perspective.
Don't talk rubbish.
I'm trying to give him some kind of out. I don't know.
Anyway, at this crass and insensitive statement, Dory requests that both he and she are assigned the case. Hammer objects.
Yeah, like we heard at the top of the show.
Yeah.
There's another good exchange actually in this scene. Before he realises it's the parents and the babies, Hammer thinks it's some kind of couples therapy session going on out in the precinct, and he says, if a man and a woman have a problem, they should settle it the way my wife and I did, with a divorce. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
I empathised.
Trunk then explains that a baby kidnapping ring are behind these thefts.
I think that's an assumption by Trunk. He doesn't present this as something that they have any intelligence on.
Yeah, I think Trunk is an experienced detective, and I think it would be the obvious assumption.
Yeah. Both Trunk and Hammer have reservations about Sledge being assigned to this case.
Yeah, before that, I like the joke when Trunk mentions this baby kidnapping ring, Sledge suggests that it's a mom and pop operation.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I don't think Trunk appreciated that.
He didn't know. Dory is now in a separate room, and she's speaking with two of the victims, a mother and father.
So Mrs. Yates, I believe.
It is, it's the Yateses.
What was your baby's name?
Well, we were just about to find a name, and then he was stolen.
How about Rob? I'm sorry, I don't know where my head's at.
Could you describe your baby for me, please?
DeRoe have a heart. They hardly had a chance to get to know their kid. Besides, you've seen one, you've seen them all. I'll bet even I can describe him. Small and bald. Am I right?
No, actually, Inspector Hammer, our boy had fair hair and blue eyes like his mother.
Okay. Well, let's sort of move on with this, all right? Height?
Oh, well, he was about 18 inches long.
Weight?
6 pounds, 11 ounces.
Any distinguishing scars or tattoos?
Hammer, please.
What? Trust me, I know what I'm doing.
He tends to use that phrase when he doesn't know what he's doing.
I think that's it precisely. I think that's the whole point, yeah.
Because there are times he does know what he's doing and he doesn't say that.
Yeah.
So maybe he's just trying to convince himself.
Before they go, Sledge asks if the child had any enemies. And Dory says, don't be silly, he's only a newborn.
Yeah, newborns don't have enemies.
Yeah.
Sledge says, I did. But she also, like I said in the summary, promises the family that she'll find their baby and bring him back.
Yeah, Sledge isn't happy with this. He says that only the president can make promises that they can't keep.
Yes. This is middle of the Reagan administration, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, tail end. There's also a little sort of more terse exchange between Dory and Sledge.
Yeah, she suggests that this promise was made perhaps because her maternal instincts were kicking in. And
She's surprised that Sledge is critical of that.
yes, and then, yeah, he's quite, not just critical, but he seems a bit disgusted by it.
Yeah.
And we have a reuse of a joke from the pilot.
Right, was it?
It was about, she says to him, I thought you'd be the type of guy who would see all women barefoot and pregnant.
Yes.
And he says, no, I encourage my women to wear shoes.
Did you say that in the pilot? I can't remember.
Yeah. Over to the hospital.
I liked this little mini scene. It didn't serve any purpose, but it was good.
Tell me about it.
There's an idiot parking in a disabled spot. He's clearly not disabled.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's quite a...
From his response to the questions, he's clearly not disabled.
Okay.
And Hammer is unhappy. Although he does jump to the assumption that the guy's not disabled, he's proved to be correct. And when the guy says, well, if I parked anywhere else, it'd be too far to walk, Hammer takes matters into his own hands.
By shooting out all 4 tyres.
Tell him we'll have to learn how to walk.
It's a similar reaction to the cigar shooting out of the smoker's mouth who refuses to put it out.
Yeah. Up on the ward.
Sledge wants to speak to Nurse Robbins, that was the matron.
Yeah, he is told exactly where she is and then advised not to go in, or told not to go in when he goes to the location he's been advised of.
Which is
It's essentially a birthing ward, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. The woman is giving birth at that very moment, and Sledge comments that he's not going to be able to eat lunch for a month.
Yeah. He's not the most tactful.
No, understandably, I suppose Nurse Robbins is not inclined to be helpful at this point.
No. I mean, Hammer's standing looking at the wall with his back to everybody in the room.
He's not happy with the screaming baby.
Dory questions whether he's ever seen childbirth before. He says, no, childbirth's for women.
Fair enough.
And he gets into a sort of a confrontational exchange with the nurse.
Yeah, he insults her by telling her that he wouldn't have a pizza delivered in her ward.
Yes, it's not a hospital, it's the Bermuda Triangle. She's lost a dozen babies.
He eventually leaves, offering advice to the parents.
Yeah, he says that they should discipline their child from day one because constant spankings are what made him turn out okay.
You can believe that.
Absolutely.
And we head back to the precinct. Sledge finds Dory asleep at her desk.
She's made no progress. She's desperate to make progress and she can't get anything.
He tells her that sleeping on the job is for air traffic controllers, not cops.
Not cops. But he's got a lead.
He has.
Shy Eddie is one of his informants. But don't look at him.
No, you do not look at Shy Eddie. So we go to meet Shy Eddie at a car wash. So Dory and Sledge are in the front and they pull up just before entering the car wash, and Shy Eddie jumps in the back seat.
I do wonder if they considered filming this from behind Shy Eddie for the whole scene.
Yeah.
So that the audience didn't see his face.
Yeah, I think it's probably just a sort of logistics thing. It's been too much work to try and get a camera in that position.
Also quite a long scene to have a static camera.
Yeah. And Dory has got the urge to turn round and talk to Eddie.
He keeps screaming at her when she does it.
Yeah, and Hammer warns her not to do it.
You must resist.
So he hands over money to Eddie just as the car wash up is about to start, but he realises that the windows won't go up.
None of his windows go up.
And they all get soaked.
They all get soaked, but he gets his tip.
Yes, Shy Eddie tells them to go to the Bayside Adoption Agency and act like they have got a bit of cash.
Yeah. They're going to pose as a couple.
We're at the adoption agency and they explain to the owner specifically what they want and flash some cash, literally. She doesn't open up immediately, so Sledge gives her some more information.
Look, lady, what is the matter with you, huh? I got money coming out of my ears, and you are standing in the way of giving a kid a good home. You ought to see my place. I mean, I got everything. I got a hot tub, a barbecue pit, a pool table. I have a whole large collection of adult films on videotape, and a Doberman that needs a playmate. So what's the problem?
Please leave now.
And there's a stewardess that lives next door who likes to sunbathe nude, and I need a little tot to put on my shoulders to help to steady the binoculars.
Get out. I wouldn't place Lizzie Borden with you people.
That's okay, I wouldn't take her. I ordered a boy.
Lizzie Borden, of course, well known for being acquitted of the axe murder of her parent and step-parent.
Yeah. What did you think of that clip?
That was an impressive acting performance from Sledge, on a par with his efforts last week.
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious.
It's good.
So they leave her office.
Yeah, and there's a brilliant, it's a little sort of quick exchange between the receptionist Margaret, who's at the desk as they leave, and Sledge.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, she says to him, I couldn't help overhearing your conversation with Miss Calder, and he doesn't accept that. He questions her, he says, why not? And she says, I was listening in. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, it was a nice line. So what does she have to say?
Well, she's obviously been listening into their conversation. She knows how badly they want a child and their circumstances. And she says that if they do desperately want a kid, here's a name and a number.
They have to mention her name so that she can get her commission.
A commission. And Sledge tells her she'll get what's coming to her in the most
Sinister.
ham-fisted, sort of ominous line. Yes.
So what's going to happen is that her associate will come to their home, Sledge's home, to complete the transaction later that night.
That's it.
So we're at Sledge's apartment. This is the first time Dory's been there.
Apparently. We've seen other folk there, though. We've seen Trunk stayed over, and some assassins.
Yeah. She admires a picture of Sledge with his first arrest.
Now, is this the same room they used for the apartment in the pilot? Because it looks the same as the one when the assassins came after him a couple episodes in, but the one in the pilot looked much smaller to me. Maybe I'm imagining it.
Not sure.
Anyway. Yeah, he's got this photo of his first arrest. He talks about it like his first catch at fishing. He's holding the criminal up the way you would hold a fish.
Yeah.
And he talks about the ones that got away. It's quite nicely done.
Yeah. The baby broker turns up. A Felix Riddle.
Hammer can't believe he's like a common slime ball into his apartment. It's bad enough that Dory's there.
Yeah. He is a really obnoxious character, isn't he?
He's not a nice man.
He's happy to hand over the baby for 50k.
Yep, and Hammer makes it clear they want a WASP, W-A-S-P, ASAP.
Yeah. Dory is disgusted that he would happily furnish a baby without even knowing anything about them. So he has a couple of questions that he thinks.
Yeah, first of all he asks if they have a television, and then he asks is it colour or black and white. And some of the younger listeners may not remember that they had black and white TVs, but I can remember having a black and white TV as a kid.
Yeah.
It wasn't the main TV in the house, but there was one in the house.
Mm-hmm.
You could tune it with a dial. You couldn't just press the channel number.
Yeah.
You literally had to dial around to find the different
Right,
channels.
enough of this. All our yesterdays. Yeah. Wagon wheels were
back
bigger.
in the day.
Mars bars.
Of course, there's some older listeners will think I'm being ridiculous talking about that as if it was something long ago.
What's happening?
We go back to the Riddell baby store. In fact, no, before the end of that scene, they agree to pay the money that night, and
Yes.
Sledge insists that they accelerate the process. They want the baby immediately.
We've also missed out another nice little bit. He discovers a set of handcuffs.
Yes, there's a little bit of exchange on that.
Yeah, and Dory sheepishly describes them as a marital aid.
Yes. Sledge doesn't really react to that. I thought there was maybe an opportunity there, but
Yeah, no.
he plays it straight.
So we go to the warehouse for the conclusion of this transaction.
Yeah, it turns out that the bad guy and the nurse are siblings, brother and sister. There's a kind of tasteless bad guy comment where they refer to one of the babies as having a new owner.
Yes. He doesn't care what the situation is. He's going to be paid double from Sledge and Dory, so she's got to get the baby back no matter what.
That's it.
Over to Trunk's office.
Hammer's getting the money. You remember not that long ago, Trunk laughed at him when he wanted half this amount for an informant.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously in this case it's more of a prop. They expect to retain the money.
Yeah, but the money in that previous episode was to save Hammer's life.
Yes, this time it's for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they try to put in this sort of it's a recurring joke about Hammer forgetting the money. I don't think that one worked for me.
No, I enjoyed it.
Did you?
Yes, because in both times you get very quick payoff.
Yeah.
So he tells him immediately, do not let this money out of your sight.
And he
And Sledge says,
immediately
yeah,
forgets.
sure, of course, then walks away.
Fair enough. They're heading over to the, ironically, to a baby store to buy a baby. Hammer hands over the money. It gets counted, it gets recounted, and when we join them, it's getting counted again.
Yes. And who should walk in?
Well, the nurse returns without the baby, the Yates baby. She's not been able to recover it, and recognises Dory and Sledge immediately.
As cops.
She does, and she turns out the lights and runs.
No, before that, Sledge tells her he knew that she was behind it.
Yes, I like this actually. This is one of my favourite bits of the episode.
So what happened?
She says, "How did you figure it out, or when did you figure it out?" And he says, "Just now when you came in." I like that. That's going to be my favourite line when we come back to this.
So she turns off the lights and both of them make a run for it. So Dory follows the nurse
Yeah, and she yells to Hammer that she's got her
and Hammer chases...
number one scumsucker.
Yes.
There's a little trick played on Dory, where the nurse, who's got the squeaky shoes, leaves them, takes them off, and Dory thinks she's got her trapped, but she does not. And she gets driven at by a forklift in a scene that seemed familiar to me, but I couldn't place it.
I think it's a take on Aliens.
Right, I've probably seen that, forgotten it.
Mm-hmm. Hammer's also having trouble because he keeps stepping in toys and noisy things.
Given his position away, there's a great line here where the guy's climbing a pile of boxes and Hammer shoots one out the bottom to bring them all falling down.
Yeah.
And Hammer says his pyramid scheme has failed.
And at this point, they are able to apprehend the mutants and have a word.
By the time you mutants are out of jail, those kids will be grandparents. You're the most disgusting act since Donnie and Marie.
Now, where are those children?
I ain't talking like me with my lawyer.
Would you prefer to meet your maker?
Hey, lighten up, Palsy. You'll get them all back. It's all in the files.
All right, come on.
Hammer, aren't you forgetting something?
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll rough them up in the car.
No! The money.
What was so bad about Donnie and Marie? Well, I can tell you what's so bad about Marie.
What?
She sang the song Paper Roses,
Okay.
which is adopted as the anthem of a particular Scottish football team that I have no time for.
That would be Kilmarnock.
It was, and she is now obviously refers to herself as a supporter of the club, so
What's the matter with Kilmarnock Football Club?
I just don't like them.
Why not?
There are a number of issues that probably aren't broadcastable.
Okay, fair enough. Apologies to any Kilmarnock fans, although I'm led to believe that the internet has not made its way down there.
Yeah,
so
we should be fine.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We head back to Trunk's office for the epilogue as per usual.
I quite like these epilogues.
Yeah, it's nice.
I mean,
Ties up and puts a little bow on the episode.
we did the 68 episodes of Columbo, and there wasn't really this sort of... I mean, there was a couple of times they did this. It's like, let's explain what's just happened for everybody. But there wasn't really a proper epilogue that you get here, which I really quite enjoy. Just kind of a reset. You get to the end of the episode and everything is back to normal.
Yeah, Columbo did not require that reset,
Yeah,
but in these episodes you do.
yeah, absolutely.
Trunk congratulates them on getting all the babies back, and Dory acknowledges that she couldn't have done it without Sledge's help.
The Yateses are there.
Mm-hmm. Why are they there?
They want to thank Dory and Sledge personally and name their baby after Inspector Hammer.
Yep, so they ask for his first name.
Tells them it's Sledge, and they
And
back down.
They do. Now, I think it was last week that you mentioned the fact that Sledge's name was seen to be ridiculous. It was the DA.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the second week in a row
And
where
third that I can remember.
even in the Sledgehammer universe, his name is a joke.
Yeah. They give the baby to Sledge to hold, and I believe it fills its nappy while he's holding it, and he gets very upset.
Mm-hmm.
Demands to take it back and get it out of here.
Get it out of town.
Yeah.
Can you see Sledge with a baby, a little hammer of his own?
I don't see why not.
No, I think he'd be a good parent. I
Don't
think
know.
it might soften him.
You never know. Take the edge off.
Yeah. Him and Dory, do you think?
No.
Okay. That's us. Episode finito.
All done. It was actually, the episode was the same length as usual. We had shorter credits at the start, so they must have packed a bit more in there.
Mm-hmm. Well spotted.
I wondered if it was the opening scene, if they maybe originally started it with the nurse, but decided they needed to go back and do something, and then they had to shorten the credit. I don't know that as a fact, but certainly the credits were barely over half their usual length.
Perhaps Mr. Alan Spencer, if he's listening, could fill us in on that.
Or one of the writers who you're no doubt about to tell us about in the trivia.
Yeah, let's go on to that then. November 29th, 1986 was the original air date. Directed by Kim Manners. She sadly died in 2009, aged 58. She had 4 Emmy nominations, directed numerous episodes of Supernatural, 21 Jump Street, Star Trek Next Generation, Charlie's Angels, and 51 episodes of The X-Files. She's the most prolific X-Files director.
I suspect she might be a straightforward one to get a show notes link for when I'm coming into this episode.
Deborah Ranznick was one of the writers. She wrote for Mork and Mindy, Laverne and Shirley, Rugrats, Adventures in Wonderland. And her co-writer was Daniel Benton, who was born in 1952 and also wrote for Rugrats, Adventures in Wonderland, Dynasty and Jack Hammer.
Sledge's dad.
Could have been.
Rugrats was a good cartoon.
Yeah, never watched it myself.
I was slightly old for it, but it was a kind of a guilty pleasure when I was a mid-teen.
When you say slightly old, you were far too old for it.
Yeah, I was in my teens when it was
Yeah.
aimed at sort of younger kids, but it was still a Saturday morning guilty pleasure.
Yeah, sure.
Along with like the raccoons, I like that.
Michelle Marsh played Nurse Robbins. This is her first of 2 Sledgehammer episodes. She has been in Fiddler on the Roof, House, Desperate Housewives, Falcon Crest, Star Trek Next Generation, and Buck Rogers.
Okay.
Brian James played Felix Riddle.
Yeah, the
Rydell.
bad guy.
Yeah, did you recognise him?
He looked shifty and could have been a bad guy in a million different
Yeah,
ways.
he was very big in the 80s and 90s. He played the henchman, the baddie in a number of movies that I enjoyed.
Kind of born for that, wasn't he?
Definitely. He died in 1999, aged just 54. He was in Blade Runner, The Fifth Element, Tango and Cash, 48 Hours, Another 48 Hours, Cherry 2000, and Red Heat. Always playing a bad guy, really.
Yeah, no doubt.
Dennis Fimple played Shy Eddie. Met him before.
Was he the informant previously at the films?
Yes. And they shoot hammers, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, but he wasn't Shy Eddie at that point.
No, that was the episode you referred to when you mentioned Trunk not wanting to hand over 25k.
Yes, it was him that was to get it.
Mhm. And Jeannie Elias played Mrs. Yates. She was born in 1954 as a very prolific voice actor. She has worked in Dennis, Super Mario Brothers, As Told by Ginger, Quack Pack, Addams Family, and Where's Wally?
I thought many of those were books.
I'm sure they were. Favourite line this week, Ian?
I think we go back to the one that I said at the time was my favourite, which I've now forgotten. Yeah, about Margaret listening in to the conversation. That was my favourite bit.
Mine was, did your baby have any enemies? I did.
It reminds me of The Simpsons with, of course, Maggie as our enemy, the baby with the monobrow.
Sure. Next week, To Live and Die on TV.
We'll look forward to that one. In the meantime, you can get hold of us on social media at Sledgecast on Twitter and on Facebook. You can find us at sledgehammerpodcast.com, where we chat to folk in the comments section for each episode. And if you have the time, we would really appreciate ratings, reviews, subscriptions in iTunes, even if it's not your primary method of listening, because it really helps more and more people find the show. You know, it's starting to pick up a little bit now. It'd be great to get more listeners to enjoy what we're doing here.
Indeed.
So until next week, cheerio.
Bye-bye.